Yo, crypto nation and mining family. Crypto nation and mining family. What's going on? And of course, like always, it's not financial advice. Yo, crypto nation and mining family. What's going on out there? So, came across a few things that I know some people, especially if you're into mobile gaming or laptops or anything like that, some of this stuff might pertain to you. So let's dive in. So as you guys would know, that there was a bunch of different SKUs and different graphics cards for the mobile market. Most of them being NVIDIA, and that's my go-to for graphics cards, of course. I'm a little biased towards it, just because NVIDIA, their drivers work most of the time right off the bat, and I have less graphical error issues with NVIDIA. Usually whenever they find something that's an issue, they patch the drivers and come out with a driver real quick for it, because they know that most people that are utilizing their graphics cards are hardcore gamers. Not so much, they're not tailoring the mining market, but they want to make sure that their gaming market is on point, and usually they are. At this point, there's no word of like a 5700M or a 5600M, which would be the AMD's mobile graphics card. There is no word of that as of yet, but some people might not understand all the SKUs that are for the mobile series. So let's kind of give a little dive in. So you got the RTX 20 series, that's the Max P, which that would be, aka max performance. These GPUs will not have the dialed back power limits on there, so if you end up getting one of these in your laptop, you'll have some great quality gaming on there and movie watching experience, but know that it's going to hit your battery life on there. So if you're doing anything prolonged on there, make sure you have your charger with you. So basically the Max P will encompass the 2080, the 2070, and the 2060s, all running on the Turing TU104 and the TU106 GPU variants on there. These were the first graphics cards to feature the GDDR6 memory, and they were the first mobile ones on their product line to actually, like I said, have the GDDR6. Then you have the Max Q. Max Q is for the maximum efficiency. These ones are power limited. So, in other words, they are slower, guys. What you'll notice on there is that they'll have target wattages of between 90 watts to 65 watts. So you can just imagine that you're not going to be able to push the limits on there. So if you're on the go and you have you're on the train or something like that going into work, or you're carpooling, taking the bus or whatnot, you'll be able to sit there and game on there, and you'll have a little bit better battery life on there. Just know that you're not going to have the deep enriched coloring on there, and the crisp video display on there. You're not going to notice leaps and bounds on there. So don't think that, oh my god, I got a Max Q, it's junk. Has nothing to do with that. Just know that it's going to have some performance limitations on there, but this also gives you prolonged usability on your laptop with the battery. That's like one of the biggest things that the Max Q gives, is just that it's efficient. Then you have your Super Edition, the Super RTX series. These will feature more CUDA cores, lower voltage on the GDDR6 memory, and a new regulator. These ones will also support dynamic boost, kind of similar to the AMD's Smart Shift, except that it'll work with both the AMD and Intel CPUs. Also, advanced Optimus, IGPU and DGPU switching technology with G-Sync support. So if you guys are using G-Sync monitors and stuff like that, this would be one that will take advantage of that. The AO requires an additional hardware, which will take some time to see in the laptops for right now. The Lenovo Legion 5i and the 7i is currently the only series to support the version of Optimus. So if you're looking for that, you'll have to go with the Lenovo laptops. And then, of course, the RTX refresh. The representative revealed that NVIDIA also has a new refresh design of the existing RTX 2070 and the RTX 2060 models. Unlike the super variants, these cards do not feature more cores. They are essentially the same card, but with slightly higher overclocks as the Max P models, the Max Performance. So you'll have a little bit of a lower wattage, so it's going to be like the Super, but it's just going to be like binned models, so you'll have the best performance out of the low wattage variants. The key difference features the hardware optimizations from the Super series are the low voltage DDR6 memory, 1.25 volt to 1.35 volt in a new regulator. Since the manufacturers do know that 20% of the power that the total graphics card is using is going directly to the memory, they were able to play around with that to get some noticeable performance boosts over the original series. For the 2070, the maximum target point has been unchanged and remains at a value of 115 watts. The target point of the 2060 has been increased up to 115 watts also. The original was only at 90 watts originally for the mobile variant. So that's how you can really tell that they're playing around with stuff on there to try to squeak out a little bit of performance out of there. So whenever you're picking up a new laptop, guys, and depending on what performance you're looking for in there, do a little extra research to see which graphics card is actually being put in there. For you might notice that you might be getting a max efficiency and you wanted the max performance on there, that kind of good stuff. So if you don't care about being tethered to the wall, definitely go after the Max P. You'll see the best significant performances out of it. Me personally, I prefer desktops. This way I get a graphics card that is pretty much unlocked. I can do whatever I want to them. If I want to burn out my 1080 Ti that I've got in here, my God, I can do it. The card might not like me afterwards, but I can sit there, hit it with more power. And thankfully, there's limitations in there for thermal throttling and stuff like that, but you can still significantly hurt the card. Laptops usually have a lot of those features closed off on there. You're only able to push the fan so far. You're only able to push the power limit up so high. Overclocking is done with like a grain of salt, so you'll be able to overclock them to a point, but at a certain point, the system's just going to look at you and be like, no. So with that being said, they're not going to be great for mining. So don't sit there and think, I got this Max P graphics card in my laptop, I should be able to mine on. I will say no. For a couple of reasons. Usually the power limits on most of the laptops are blocked off You're able to play with a little, sometimes not even the fans. You're able to do like a slight overclock on there, and if it's got the power for it, cool. If not, you are blocked. I would imagine that they're all going to be the same way, custom BIOS for laptops. This way you're not pushing the card to the higher end limit of wattage, and you're not generating all that extra heat, because that is one drawback of all laptops. There's such small form factors in there that heat delegation is a huge factor, even when you're gaming. You get a max performance on there and you're gaming for a little while and you got the laptop in your lap, you're going to get a little bit of a sweaty leg, because it's going to be directing that heat somewhere. Usually the case on the bottom will get hot near the CPU and the GPU, so those portions, if it's near your legs and you're like on a train or something like that, you're going to start sweating profusely. I know if I have anything warm on my lap, I just start sweating. That's just me. So if you're not wanting to generate all that heat, you're going to go with the max efficiency. This way your target power points are a lot lower. But again, you're going to be you'll be sacrificing, that's the word I'm looking for, sacrificing performance on there to lower that the wattage point, because there's so much heat generated for every watt used. So just kind of pay attention to which graphics cards you're looking at in which laptop. Unless you're dealing with Intel, where Intel will do integrated graphics, and even then I kind of cringe away from the integrated graphics, just because they're not that good, guys. Just be honest. Nobody likes integrated graphics. It's good for if you're just budgeting into something, you don't do any gaming on your laptop, you watch non-4K movies on there, or you're just doing research. Then you can get an integrated graphics on there and you'll be great. But for anybody else like myself, I'm going to be looking for a graphics card in there, and since AMD doesn't have a mobile variant quite yet, not that I would ever go after an AMD variant, just because AMD graphics cards, in my opinion, they could do better. Especially their driver department. They might make good graphics cards, but because the drivers are broken at best on launch day, it really just puts a bad taste in my mouth for wanting to go, yeah, let's get some AMDs and game with them. No. NVIDIA will be all the way on my graphics cards until AMD can show me otherwise. Now, I stay on their CPUs. I love their CPUs, and that's a perfect segue to go into AMD is coming out with Zen 3 for desktops. So this will be the Ryzen 4000 series. So everybody that just got the 3000 series, by September, you'll be out of date. That's why it's not always worth trying to stay cutting edge with all the little technology on there. I mean, yeah, I would love to get a Threadripper 3930X with the new motherboard in here, but I'm not spending $2,000 to upgrade my computer. To me, that's just, I can figure out other ways to make my money go further for me. So I've got a 1900X Threadripper in here, and I can upgrade up into the 2000 series with my motherboard without changing anything other than the CPU, guys. To me, that is more cost effective on my end than scrapping my motherboard and scrapping the CPU that's in there that I just built not that long ago. I mean, granted, I've had the computer for over a year, but I haven't found any limitations of my computer for what I use it for. I stream, I game on it. It does everything that I ask for. Until I see, now granted, as a miner, I would love to get the 3930X, just because of the hash rate that it puts out. on that Monero. But that it would not generate enough Monero quick enough for me to allocate the funds. I mean, if it was something that I would get the 3930X and the new motherboard and be ROI'd within 6 months, I'd be sitting there telling the wife back there going, yeah, I have to have it. It'll be paid for lickety split. But that's not the case, guys. So for some of those people that ran out and grabbed those 3930, the 3930Xs, yeah, they're going to be a year or two before they ROI, especially right after that stuff came out, the market tanks. So, I hope it shakes out a few more weak-handed miners out of the mix and allows me to stack sats and chill. Yo. But the new Ryzen 4000 series that's going to be earmarked for September will be sitting on the 7 nanometer technology. It'll be 4th gen Ryzen, so you'll see some performance bumps on there. I would be really curious to see how it mines on Monero. I mean, yes, I would be curious. So if any of you guys out there grab this in September, let me know how it hashes. I'd be really curious. But the rumors are that it was supposed to be launch in Computex in June, but some sources have confirmed that that was never the case. It was never expected to be sooner than July. Lisa Su has confirmed in an interview that the Zen 3 desktops will launch by the end of this year. This is something that she had said back in March. So the AMD Ryzen 4000 series, the codename Vermeer, will be featuring the Zen 3 architecture with a further 7 nanometer node optimizations on there. So it'll probably be able to clock up better, use a little bit less wattage on there, handle the same amount of loads, maybe a little bit more, which with them having the 7 nanometer node optimizations on there, I'm sure that will help out with hash rate and just overall performance off the chip itself. These will also not be utilizing gobs of power, I'm hoping, and you'll be seeing some of this stuff in the mobile market itself too. Being that it's on a 7 nanometer technology, usually when you go smaller, you got smaller pathways on there, smaller components, and less utilization of wattage. Where Intel is still sitting on their the 14 nanometer. I believe these are still 14 nanometer, and the only way that they're going to be able to compete wattage-wise with, like if you wanted to get the best of the best in your laptop, you're going to be looking at the i9 1090F. F signifying that it has internal graphics on there. So this is going to be more earmarked for your laptops, because now you don't have to put in an extra graphics card in there if you're not looking for it. So that's going to have the 65 watt target point on there, where I know these ones here are already going to be sitting there down there on the mobile market. Even with the Zen 2 architect on the 7 nanometer, you're looking at, I think, like 105 to 115 watts on the desktop version. And you know on the mobile variant that you're looking at 65 watt target point on there with no compromise on the performance on it. It's something that AMD's been kind of making progressive leaps on, I believe, over Intel. I think Intel at this point is struggling, but that's just my opinion on there. And of course, their desktop variants for their K and their KF series, which the K is the unlocked and the KF series is the unlocked with probably failed internal graphics on there, so they just turned off the module. I would be more interested if they eliminated the internal graphics on there altogether. This way, no part of that chip is ever looking for that module, ever. Because if something's got to look for that module, that's an extra added process that CPU does not need to be doing. And that will also pull performance away from it if it's looking for something that's not there. Even though they would have turned it off, there is going to be something in there that's going to be doing a check to make sure that it's there. If not, I'm sure there will be an error. So if they eliminated the internal graphics, it'd make it a pretty decent chip, in my opinion. But then, you won't have to worry about the K series, because this would compete with the K series. But like I said, I think this is just failed graphics on there. Or I should say, without it, the regular K, I think, is just the internal graphics turned off. Is that how this one is going? I forget how this F series. Yes. Okay. So the F is the no internal graphics. So it kind of depends on which one. If the internal graphics is like there or not, would be my opinion. But for their mobile graphics, you're going to be looking at either the i9 10900, or you're going to be looking at the i7 10700 for good wattage for performance-wise for your mobile laptops. And talking about all these laptops, guys, I know some people, they've never heard of Origin, but heard about Origin for a long time. They've been around for a long time in the computer market. But just a few days ago, they're going to be coming out with Origin announced that they're going to be coming out with the EON15X with the Ryzen 9 3900 in there. So with the 3900 series, like I said, their laptops for AMD, they're going to be hitting the target point of 65 watts with the Ryzen 9 3900. You can mine on them. I wouldn't recommend it just because of the heat production and how taxing it is on the laptop battery. And a lot of the newer laptops do not have like a removable battery that you can just remove it and have it plugged into the wall. And even if you could do that, then you're sitting there beating up your power supply, both of which I do not recommend anybody doing. So the graphics that are not going to be available for it is going to be the Ryzen 4000 series for their mobile one. Not quite yet, because that's not supposed to come out until later on this year. So maybe expect to see in later on this year that Origin comes out with the Ryzen 4000 series in their laptops. Ooh. That would be pretty interesting. Their laptops are going to be fully configurable. The basic's going to have the Ryzen 5 3600 with an RTX 2060. You'll be looking at around $1,500 to buy it brand new. The Ryzen 9 3900 will have the RTX 2070 and 1 terabyte of that NVMe memory. And you'll be looking at a little over $2,500, not including any rebates or anything like that you might find in the future for this. And then the system will be paired up with a 15.5-inch display at 144 hertz, which this will be pretty nice, I think, for display-wise. You'll be able to watch some pretty good movies on there. Gaming-wise, you'll be limited with the max performance on there, depending on which variant of the graphics card that's coming with this one. Like I was saying before, NVIDIA has 4 different mobile graphics cards, so be careful of which one you're grabbing. And then all of them will be able to do 1080p, which that'll be really nice. I don't see enough of a difference to need to go into 4K video mode, unless you want to sit there and see freckles and pimples on people's faces. I don't personally look for the top desktop quality video display on a laptop. If it can sit there and run 1080p, I am happy, that is for sure. It'll have a narrow bezel display, so it won't have a huge chunky border around your screen. There are a few other laptops that are pretty nice that have like slide out keyboards that exposes an extra couple of fans on there, which will be pretty nice for those. But then, anytime you got moving parts, you have the possibility of something breaking. Anytime that you got a moving part, it's not if but more when it will fail. All moving parts will fail over time. Even foldable screens, when you're sitting there opening and closing the laptop a lot, eventually it'll damage the hinges on there. The hinge will wear out over time, and possibly even the wire connections might even start wearing out, because try bending a piece of metal back and forth. How many times can you bend it back and forth before it goes snap? So it's like laptops do have a life expectancy on there, just due to what they really are. Now, I've had laptops for a few years. I've got the old Toshiba Satellite still rocking and rolling, but do I try to do massive gaming on it? No, it's not that good. I'm just saying. I've tried. It's laggy as at best. Even if I've got it plugged in and I'm not using it wirelessly, it's just a lot of demand on there, especially if I'm playing like World of Tanks or something like that on there. That Toshiba Satellite's like, yo, I quit. Even if I turn down all the graphics settings on the game, it's still not very happy with me. And some of the reasons why, if I've got to play a game, I can wait until I get home. If there are games that you can play on your laptops that aren't so demanding, certainly if you wanted to play those, cool. Just know that when it comes down to shooting games and stuff like that, something that's high-paced, the laptop's probably not going to keep up very nicely. Can you make do? Yeah, I'm sure you can, especially if it's the only thing you have. But as far as laptops, now this one actually looks pretty interesting for what they're trying to offer in here. A 3900 series, the 3900 series Ryzen 9. I mean, shoot, that thing should be able to mine Monero pretty nicely, especially if you can, get it into a cool spot. Mining on the graphics card, don't do it. You're gonna the CPU in there will generate less heat, and also utilize less power than the graphics card. 65 watts versus 90 to maybe a peak of 100 watts makes a world of difference on heat, especially if you're mining on the CPU and on the graphics card at the same time. Oh, that's a lot of heat, buddy. I'm just saying. I mine with my cards at about 100 watts, and that's still enough to warm up the area in which it's sitting in, guys, at 100 watts. I have a few AMDs that are running at 90 watts, and dude, the little bubble that it has like a heat bubble around that rig, and I'm circulating the air pretty nicely around it, and it still has a heat bubble. With all the equipment that I have, and I've power limited everything that I mine on, I can warm up my house with it. That's how much heat this stuff still throws off, even underpowered, guys. So just keep it in mind that if you're going to mine on your laptop, you want it to have cool, fresh air, not freezer air, because then you're going to talk about breaking chips and dies on there and stuff like that. So just kind of be careful with all that stuff. But if you're looking for what looks like to be a decent laptop, this one looks like it's pretty nice. Again, I kind of stay away from Intel CPUs. That's just me. I know I'm a little biased on there. A while back, they would have been, one of the go-tos. But as of recently, with the 3900 series from AMD, they have waffle stomped Intel with their CPU division, where their graphics card division is still lagging behind. So if they ever come out with a mobile variant graphics card, I would probably stay away from it. I'm an NVIDIA fan on that one. NVIDIA just has overall better performance and just works better from day one. I would really hate to see how the 56 and the 5700 series would be on desktop. I mean, are you talking about little ovens being encased in plastic, just to thermal throttle itself to death? Possibly. If you guys got any kind of questions or anything like that about any of the mobile graphics cards that are coming out, or the codename Vermeer, the Ryzen 3 or the Zen 3 architecture with the Ryzen 4000 series, I would love to know what your guys' thoughts are on that. And with that, guys, definitely smash that Lizzie like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, share this video with everybody, anywhere you can. Just post this somewhere. Helps me grow the channel, gets a little outreach to new people, gets this good knowledge out there to all of you guys. And with that, guys, like always, I'll definitely see you on the next one. Peace.